What if you could turn a broken caster into a precision knife sharpening machine right in your garage? Well, today we're going to do exactly that. No fancy equipment, no expensive sharpening stones, just a worn out caster wheel, a bit of wood, and some good old DIY spirit. If you've got an old knife lying around that barely cuts a tomato stick with me, we're about to bring it back to life and make it slice like it did decades ago. Before I go further, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? I love seeing this DIY family from all over the world. Let's get started. We're taking this old caster wheel apart. We don't need the wheel itself, just the metal base. Go ahead and remove the wheel, leaving only the bracket. Now, grab a solid wooden board. This will act as the base for our sharpening setup, so we want it steady. Line up the caster bracket right in the center, then use 4 screws and washers to secure it down. Tighten each screw nice and firm so the bracket won't move or twist during sharpening. What we're doing here is creating a fixed pivot point, the heart of our homemade sharpening rig. Once it's solid, give it a little shake test. No wobble. Perfect. That means we're ready for the next step. Now let's give this sharpening jig some structure. I take a wooden bar that already has 4 holes drilled through it, 1 on the bottom and 3 along the side. The bottom hole is going to mount right onto our caster base, so I line it up and tighten it down securely. That gives us a solid upright support, those 3 side holes. That's where the sharpening arm will connect later. Having multiple positions lets us control the angle and motion almost like a professional guided sharpening system. It's simple carpentry, but it sets the foundation for precise, repeatable sharpening every time. Next, we need a way to hold the knife steady. On the opposite side of our wooden base, I drill 2 holes spaced just enough to fit the spine of a kitchen knife between them. Then, I thread 2 screws through each with a washer, but I leave them slightly loose for now. These screws will act like a gentle clamp. Now let's build the sharpening arm. This is the heart of the whole setup. I start with a threaded rod, 2 wooden blocks of compression spring, and some washers and nuts. This block needs to stay fixed. It'll act as our base support. Next, the spring goes on right up against that first block. Then I add another washer and nut on the other side of the spring. Tightening or loosening this nut will control how much tension the spring has. That's what gives our sharpening arm smooth pressure while we work. Now we have a guide arm that can flex and push back evenly, keeping the sharpening stone in steady contact with the blade. With the spring arm ready, it's time to mount the sharpening stones and dial in our angle. I take a diamond sharpening plate starting with the 1000 grit and clamp it firmly between the 2 wooden blocks we built on the arm. You want it held tight so it doesn't shift while sharpening. Now I place the knife between the 2 screws on the vertical wood board so the spine sits snug. This keeps the blade perfectly steady. Next, I slide the sharpening arm into one of the side holes. These different holes let you choose different sharpening angles. I like to target around 18 to 22 degrees, a sweet spot for strong, razor-sharp edges. To be precise, I grab my phone and use any angle meter app. Little trick from the garage works every time. Once the arm is sitting at the right angle, everything's locked in, and we're ready to sharpen like we've got a professional jig. Now that everything's locked in, let's get to the fun part, sharpening. First thing I do is give the stone and the blade a light spray of WD-40. A lot of folks don't realize this, but WD-40 works great as a cutting lubricant, keeps the metal from loading up, and helps the stone cut smoother. With the first side facing up, I lower the arm gently and start with slow, controlled strokes. Let the jig do the work, no need to force it. Nice even passes from heel to tip, just like you're wiping crumbs off the table. The goal is consistency, not speed. You'll start to hear that soft grinding sound. Music to any tinkerer's ears. A few minutes like this, and you can already feel the edge waking up again. Take your time. A good edge isn't rushed. Alright, now that first side is looking good. It's time to flip the blade and work on the second edge. I loosen the clamp just enough to turn the knife over. No need to take everything apart, then lock it back in snug. Same routine here, a light mist of WD-40 on the stone and a touch on the blade. That lubrication really helps keep the metal particles from clogging the surface of the stone and gives us a cleaner, smoother cut. Now, gentle strokes again, heel to tip steady rhythm. You don't want to rush this step. Think of it like tuning a guitar string, slow controlled adjustments until it feels just right. You'll feel the edge sharpen as the passes get smoother and the sound gets more even. That's when you know you're hitting the bevel perfectly. After a few minutes, I pause and wipe the blade clean with a shop towel. You'll see that gray slurry that's metal and stone working together, doing exactly what we want. And once both sides feel uniform, I take a moment to clean the knife thoroughly. No WD-40 or grit left behind. A clean blade isn't just better for performance, it lasts longer and it just feels right in your hand when you're done. Nice and simple patience and consistency always beat brute force when it comes to sharpening. No fancy machines, no expensive sharpening kits. Just patience, a little know-how, and a homemade sharpening jig built from things most of us already have lying around the workshop. There's something satisfying about bringing life back to old tools, isn't there? Tools aren't just metal. They've cut fruit for our kids maybe even worked alongside us for years. Restoring them isn't only practical, it's personal. If you enjoyed this project, or if it reminded you of the way we used to fix things instead of throwing them away, I'd love to see you stick around for more. We've got plenty of clever builds, tool restorations, and simple tricks that'll save you money and keep those hands busy. So do me a favor. Hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And if you've got an old tool you'd like to breathe life into, drop it in the comments. Maybe it'll be the next project. Thanks for watching. Take care and keep creating.